Hi, I'm Michael Stittle.
And I'm Nik Nanos.
Hey, Nick, we're back after our Labor Day weekend break. What did you get up to?
Well, one of my cousins, as you know, I'm Greek. One of my cousins, we had a Greek Armenian wedding, and I'd like to say that it was fantastic. Everybody was so happy, and there's a lot of similarities between the Greek and Armenian cultures. They have a lot of a shared history, so it
Hmm.
was it was just lots of fun. It was a nice break from the pandemic and a little mini break from the election. Although I must say that at the end of the wedding, I had to go back and start working on the campaign to see the numbers.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So I'm glad that you got a bit of a break there. I mean, that sounds like a lot of fun. And we have had a wild weekend. So when we last left off on Friday, we were talking about how the Labor Day weekend is when families get together to, really take a look at the election campaign so far. The momentum was really behind the Conservatives. So what happened?
Well, Michael, when we last did our podcast, the Conservatives were up a full 5 percentage points, which was outside of the margin of error. They had a number of good days, and then we had the TVA debate
Hmm.
um, on late last week. And what we saw coming out of the TVA debate were 3 days where the Conservatives started to cycle down, especially in the province of Quebec. And we also know that that's coincidental with why don't we just call it the controversy related to assault, the ban on assault rifles,
Hmm.
and the Conservatives needing to, or what do we say, voluntarily adjusting, amending, put a little asterisk on their platform to align with where Aaron O'Toole stood. So it's one of those things where I bet your bottom dollar that for the Conservative strategists, they have their internal tracking. They see our internal tracking and other polling firms, and they realize that their numbers are starting to trend down coincidentally with this issue coming up. So they probably wanted to put a spike into that as soon as possible by doing a little modification to their platform. Doesn't happen very often, but
No, I mean, they literally put an asterisk, under gun control, under appealing the liberal ban on assault rifles, I believe. And Nick, where are we in terms of the nightly tracking?
the latest nightly tracking has the Conservatives at 32.6, the Liberals at 31.6, so a statistical tie, factoring the margin of error between the Conservatives and the Liberals. NDP 21.1, Bloc 5.0, Green Party 4.4, and the People's Party at 4.3 nationally.
4.3. So that, I mean, we're on the eve of the official French language debate, where we'll see Green Party leader Annamie Paul join them for the first time. 4% was the cutoff to get onto the debate. So interesting that if it had been a bit earlier, Bernier would have been on the stage tonight.
Yeah, I guess is that going to be kind of like the Star Trek Mirror Mirror episode, like where the,
Uh,
the alternative universe where Bernier is in the debate,
yeah,
and
he's got a goatee, I guess. Yeah.
who knows what I was going to say. And I'd like to say when I use that analogy, that's no judgment on any federal political leader, but just the alternative universe. But
Hmm.
I think that a number of the other pollsters currently have the People's Party at over 4%. But the fact of the matter is the way the debates commission set their rules. It's not the support today that counts for them; it's the support a few weeks back. And but this will be fodder for Bernier and for People's Party supporters. They'll talk about how probably they're being unfairly treated and how
Hmm.
they should have been in the debate. And the fact of the matter is, based on what's happening right now with this dead heat, with the protests and the dead heat between the Conservatives and the Liberals, Bernier in the debate could have been significant factor shaping the outcome of the election.
Hmm. Now we'll get more into the two debates this week later in this episode, but I also want to touch on what happened to Liberal leader Justin Trudeau this weekend. He was in a campaign stop in London, Ontario, and some protesters threw gravel at him. It was a pretty shocking incident we don't really see in Canadian politics. Has that had any impact, do you think, these protesters on the Liberal campaign?
Well, I think it's had an impact on the Liberal campaign and the Liberal messaging for sure. These folks are basically on a mission to defeat Justin Trudeau and to disrupt his campaign. And at least in terms of disrupting the campaign, they're doing a pretty good job because he's talking about them. Actually, the other party leaders are talking about the protesters too. So they basically they're punching above their weight.
Hmm.
Um, And, it cuts both ways. For Trudeau, it gives him a platform to point at what I'll call, for many Canadians, completely unacceptable behavior. I think Canadians are good with protests, but as soon as it becomes anything that's close to violence, that's where the line is drawn for many Canadians. So I don't think Canadians had any problem with those individuals coming out and protesting any political party leader, including Justin Trudeau. But as soon as you start throwing gravel or whatever, you cross that line. But it's been a distraction for Trudeau. He's not been able to get his message out. And these folks are punching above their weight. These people that are, what I'll say, vaccine hesitant or not vaccine supportive, and want to have their freedom of choice.
Now, how is Liberal leader Justin Trudeau in the preferred PM numbers and the other federal party leaders?
Well, Trudeau still has a numeric advantage. We have him at 29.9 among Canadians who would prefer him as prime minister, followed by Aaron O'Toole closely on his heels at 26.3, Singh at 21.1, Bernier 4.8, Blanchette 2.9, Enemy Paul, the Green Party leader, at 1.9, and about 13% are undecided as to who they would prefer as prime minister.
So you mentioned earlier in this episode, Nik, that the TVA debate, managed to move the needle a bit in terms of support numbers. Tonight, we have the official French language debate where Enemy Paul joins the federal party leaders. Let's just talk a little bit about what the leaders have to do to shift momentum in their own favor on this campaign. Why don't we start with Trudeau?
So for Justin Trudeau, the good thing about this particular debate, he doesn't have to worry about being interrupted by the folks that have been protesting. So he gets to get his message out. I would expect that he's probably going to clearly have his sights set on Aaron O'Toole, because Aaron O'Toole's brand has improved over the course of the campaign. So he'll be attacking Aaron O'Toole. I would expect that he'll talk about the ban on assault weapons and how the Conservatives have been clarifying their position on that. Probably questioning whether there's anything else that he'd like to clarify his position on, because my view is that you could probably do that once. You can't do that more than once in a campaign, because then that's potentially a pattern of behavior. So expect Trudeau to focus on O'Toole and also to focus on Blanchette, the leader of the Bloc Quebecois, because in Quebec, which is a critical battleground for the Liberals, it's between the Liberals and the Bloc. And I would expect him to be nice towards Jagmeet Singh, because those NDP supporters, he's going to need Trudeau, if he wants to have a chance to win any type of majority government or strong government, he's going to need some New Democrats to swing into the red column. So I don't think he's going to be attacking Jagmeet Singh. He'll probably be reasonably positive and cordial, but just point out some differences and to say, we need to be, people need to be united if they want to defeat the Conservatives.
Let's go to NDP leader Jagmeet Singh next. Actually, his party's been sticking around or hovering around maybe roughly 20%. Would you say? How would he sort of get some momentum on his side in this debate?
Well, I think for Singh, he's got his primary targets are both O'Toole and Trudeau. O'Toole from an ideological perspective. So I think for Singh, he's going to target O'Toole to compare and contrast Singh's vision for Canada compared to O'Toole's vision for Canada. And then at the same time, and he's already kind of laid the groundwork for this, at the same time, I expect him to take on Justin Trudeau and the Liberals as not moving fast enough, not delivering on their promises, not moving forward in a progressive sense as fast as Jagmeet Singh and the New Democrats would like.
And Conservative leader Aaron O'Toole, how does he keep momentum on his side?
Well, for Aaron O'Toole, he's got to look prime ministerial, like a government in waiting, the leader of a party that is a government in waiting. He has to have a steady performance, and I think that's quite possible. His performance has been excellent throughout the course of the campaign in general. He's exceeded expectations. I think he'll have to be prepared for the attack on the ban on assault rifles. And, the good news for O'Toole is that he's already personally staked out a position. So he'll just have to kind of manage what I'll say the issue related to his platform, and then I expect O'Toole to go after Trudeau and also to go after Blanchette. I think for O'Toole, a lot of his pickup has been especially considering the Liberals were in double digits in July. a lot of the O'Toole pickup has actually been from disaffected Liberals.
Hmm.
So I would expect him to go after Trudeau in the hope of getting more blue Liberals to swing over into the true blue column. And then I would expect him also to go after Blanchette because there's crossover between some of those Bloc Quebecois supporters and Conservative supporters in Quebec.
Quebec, obviously a massive battleground for all the parties. We've seen a lot of campaigning there. This is a huge debate for Yves-Francois Blanchette, the Bloc leader. How does he, keep support or increase support in this debate?
Well, I think for Blanchette, his first target is going to be Trudeau because Quebec remains a race between the Liberals and the Bloc Quebecois. And then his second target is probably going to be O'Toole because, right now, Bernier is not a big factor in Quebec. Enemy Paul and the Greens are not a big factor. Jagmeet Singh today at least is not a factor in Quebec. He'd need to have a really good showing in the debate, especially the French debate, to kind of mobilize things. But currently he's not a big factor. So I would expect Blanchette to firmly focus on Trudeau to try to get some of those Liberal Bloc switchers, because there is such a thing as Liberal Bloc switchers in Quebec, to park back into the Bloc column. And then to focus on O'Toole, because in some of those fringes of where the cluster of Conservative ridings are Bloc ridings, and to try to kind of nibble away at the, what I'll say, the Conservative base, geographic base in the province of Quebec.
Finally, Nik, we've got Green Party leader Enemy Paul, her first appearance in the debates. Is she a presence in Quebec, and what does she have to do to get more notice?
Well, not a big presence in Quebec, but I'll put a big but on this, is that it's because she's the leader of the Green Party and because the environment is so important to Quebec voters. I think especially tonight in the French debate, Quebecers will be interested in hearing from Enemy Paul and her position on the environment. And Enemy Paul has an interesting position on the debate because she'll be new in the same way that O'Toole will be the new person in the debate, but that she will, because of the chair that she sits in as the leader of the Green Party of Canada, she has credibility on environmental issues. So watch for who she might critique or even attack in terms of their environmental policy, because she will have credibility and she is very well spoken on the issue.
Now, you said many times, Nik, on this show, the environment is always near the top of the list for issues of concern to Canadians. The economy also, bounces up and down. It gets, and I know you've been keeping a careful eye on consumer confidence and economic recovery, affordability. That is one of the topics in both the French language debate and the English language debate. What can we expect from the leaders on that, and how are the consumer confidence numbers now?
Well, we track for Bloomberg News consumer confidence every week, and in numbers that were just released earlier this week, you can see when you look at the trend line that consumer confidence is on the decline. And actually, when we ask Canadians whether they think the economy is going to get stronger or weaker in the next 6 months, a significant proportion have said that it's going to go down. It's down about 8 percentage points or thereabouts when it comes to the future strength. So not positive news on that front. And remember, Michael, we talked about the GDP coming out and it's shrinking according to Stats Canada last week. So I expect the economy to be near the top of the list. I also expect the pandemic and vaccinations. Expect a bit of chatter on banning of assault rifles. The environment will also be critical because we know Canadians are concerned about that. And perhaps we'll also see a little bit of I don't even know if skirmish is the right word, but there will be an interchange or some exchange related to the protests. I can't see us having a debate or Canadians having a debate without someone saying something about the protests and the protesters that have been dogging Justin Trudeau and the Liberals.
Well, Nik, it's going to be an interesting couple nights. Once again, if you want to know, more about how to watch the official debates Wednesday night and Thursday night, you can check it out at ctvnews.ca. Nik, thanks as always. And where can we find you?
Find me on Twitter at Nik, Nik Nanos, or you can go to www.nanos.co.
And I'm also on Twitter at Michael Siddle. Nik and everybody watching, thank you.